Hey guys, it's Vince. Today in this video we're going to take a forensic look at what experience a past client of mine had purchasing a system overseas and what his experience is. And what is so relevant in this video is everything I've discussed on my channel is prevalent because you're going to see definitively what I've discussed. So if you're looking at getting involved in production robotics, once again, buying a manufacturing machine, we see all the low prices overseas. This video will highlight exactly what a novice will experience if they don't execute best practice. And again, regardless of the manufacturer you're purchasing from overseas, there is a lot to learn from this video, a lot. So I hope all of you stay tuned to the end. Once again, this is a past client of mine. It's totally anonymous, this video. But I want you guys to learn from this because, again, we're going to see exactly all of the horror that I've discussed on my channel with purchasing overseas and what you deal with, and now you can see it for yourselves. And, of course, we'll discuss how to rectify this, and we'll discuss as we go on, as he discusses what's going on with the system. I'll break it down, and I'll answer questions as we go through, and we'll break it down together.
Machine. Recently purchased this machine from China, and it finally arrived. Now it doesn't look like the machine comes with a power cable of any kind. I did order through the manufacturer to get single phase 220 volt because they offered, I think, 3-phase and 5-phase as well. But yeah, this is the machine. It's got a bunch of stuff piled on it, sorry. And I want to try getting a local electrician to try hooking up the power for this thing so I can
listen carefully.
Get using it. But it didn't come with a manual, as you know, all the other components that I bought for the other machine didn't come with any documentation. Of course, this didn't either. So I was hoping that you would have some advice for me as to how this might get hooked up.
Now I'm just going to stop the video here and explain briefly. I can't do that. And I'm not going to go into detail now why. We'll watch why as we go through, and then I'll break it down so everyone is aware of exactly what we're dealing with.
If possible. Here's the plate that came on the machine with all the information there.
Okay, first detail I want to draw your attention to is this website for this company. Again, they are a Chinese manufacturer of this equipment, and I really want you guys just to pay attention to this, especially if you're new to the genre and you're looking at getting involved in production robotics. Be careful, guys. Please be careful.
And we can see that it has this CE logo, which I think is for Europe and China and whatnot. The electrician that I was talking with said that he wouldn't feel comfortable hooking it up without a CSA approved sticker since we're in Canada. And
some things to draw your attention to. These ports right here, it's blurry because I just paused the video. First of all, these are ports that are empty, meaning this box already has punch outs in it that would let dust and other debris in. As we go through, we'll dissect it, but I wanted to point out as many details as possible that should already be signs of a red flag.
And he said that basically it should have a CSA approved sticker inside of the cabinets, usually on the door.
Let's go back a second, real briefly. I want to just show you guys this. Okay, first we notice we've got a port here, and guys, just so everybody knows, that's a power plug port. Okay, why it was not installed, I have no idea. Okay, what he's breaking down is that the electrician, and I'll let him say it again, we'll just come back a little bit.
Basically, it should have a CSA approved sticker inside of the cabinets, usually on the door. Now, I don't know if all these components have their own.
Okay, he said that the electrician said that the unit must have a CSA sticker for him to hook it up. Now, I don't know any electricians in Canada, honestly. I'm not an electrician. I've known many electricians. I have actually a couple in my family, and I can tell you the truth in what I personally feel. Now, I don't know if, again, this is just my own personal feelings. I feel that the electrician won't hook it up because he doesn't know how to. That's what I personally believe. Okay? Most electricians are not going to look at this and understand electronics at this level. A general practitioner may or may not have experience with industrial robotics. It's a fact. Okay? Some things to point out as I froze the video here. Okay, first and foremost, of course, there's no shielded cables in here. So we see all his drives, all 4 of them. Nothing is shielded. We have a USB breakout board. You can see the USB port here. We see a giant ferrite here. We see this inside of here. Then over here we see his VFD. There is no EMI filter that's present that I've seen, and we'll go through this as we let him pan around. But I wanted to point out right away giant red flags. Okay? When you have a VFD mounted in a metal enclosure with 0 EMI filter or filtering of any kind other than this ferrite here on a USB signal, which is only 5 volts, guys, you are asking for major trouble. Okay, let alone the signals to the drives. Nothing here is shielded. Nothing. Okay, all connections are done with crimp connectors. I know I'm being picky with that. I get told that all the time. Why I'm being so picky with that is many of you, like myself, right now watching this, can you determine if you have a crimp connector that is done properly? Other than a failure? I can't. And that's another good point that I've brought up many times. Crimp connectors may or may not be done correctly, just like soldering may or may not be done correctly. But I'll tell you this much. Solder with flux, the proper way, is still going to lower your resistance overall, especially going through connector after connector. And on top of that, you will not have issues with the potential of using a crimp and hoping that that crimp actually worked properly. I've seen crimps fail all the time. All the time. I've been sent back motors with crimp connectors that have failed. So again, you can see all of them being used here. Now we already see red flags. We already see some things here that make no sense. No shielded cable, no ground drains. He removed the plastic baffling here for the wire runs. You'll see that, and he'll explain that. But as we look at this picture, one other thing that should draw a major red flag is where's the pass-through for this USB cable? Now we saw there's portholes in the actual chassis, but there's no pass-through mounted for the USB. They sell a USB pass-through which mounts over here or wherever you'd like to put it on your enclosure. It then runs its lead over here and it allows this cable to plug in from the outside. That's the proper way to engineer the chassis, first of all. I'm talking about the electronics enclosure. Okay? So we already see this is a nightmare waiting to happen. Okay, let's let him continue and we'll break it down some more.
Stickers, but yeah, I pulled off the blue covers to expose because I'm trying to reverse engineer this entire cabinet in 3D space so that I can figure out exactly where every single wire goes to.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said? I'm going to reverse engineer, hopefully, all of this in 3D space to see where every wire goes to. Imagine the amount of time that's going to take. Imagine the amount of time it's going to take and then extrapolate that over the possibility of, even though he knows where the wires go to, if he still doesn't potentially understand what each connection does, now you're drawing a red flag again because you have to get back to the manufacturer, in this case overseas, hopefully, to explain everything. Okay? Think, guys.
Try to make some sense of it. But yeah, this is what we're looking at here. So basically down here in the bottom is where I'm assuming the power comes in. Now, we can see on the far left there, it says L1, and then we got an N over here. Single phase, 220 volt, 50 hertz. I've heard that some people say that in North America we use 60 hertz here, and some people apparently say that you can use a 50 hertz machine on 60 hertz power, but not the other way around, whether that's true or not. But anyways.
Once again, let's pay close attention, guys. Here's your power port. We can see this is empty. So I don't know why that's empty. I do see ground leads coming over here from the chassis. If we look over here, he's absolutely right. You do have 2 leads here. Are those for power? Most likely they are. Most likely. Will I definitively tell this past client of mine that they are? No, I will not. And I'll tell you why. I will not take responsible for someone else's work who I don't know, and I have no idea how this chassis was built other than what I've already identified. Okay? Don't expect any manufacturer / vendor / engineer to do any of that. No one in their right mind, if they own a company or are professional, in my opinion, would take credit for someone else's work in the sense that they're going to give direction to say, hey, you should do this. If you purchase a router from another company, you wouldn't go to an arbitrary company to get advice for it. So you have to be aware of what you're purchasing because, again, you're asking that third party to become responsible for your equipment. That will not occur with me. Okay, I'm letting you all know that. I don't hide that. I'm just telling you. Okay, that's something that happens to me a lot, actually, and I have to always direct away and say, hey, you know what? This isn't just about money, guys. It's about safety. Okay, I have no idea how this unit was built. And when I say that, I already see red flags. Do I know it's going to power up? Okay, it most likely will. It most likely will, in all fairness. But do I know that it will? For certain? Absolutely not. So I would be a complete fool to take ownership of that. Now, whether or not this past client says to me, Vin, I don't care about that. I get that a lot. I don't care. You're not responsible. No, I am responsible because God forbid something happens. I have to live with that. I have to live with, if I hear back from you, oh, it started the fire or it did this and that, I have to live with that. Now, whether or not that bothers you, that's up to you. But again, we're talking about serious power now, okay? And we're looking at a system that definitively is questionable. And we're seeing more and more things that are questionable. Okay, so let's let him continue.
So yeah, this machine requires 220 volts, single phase coming in. Now, I know it's labeled N on the right there for the blue wire, and the black wire over here on the left is L1. Okay, so the question is, how do I get 220 volts into that one terminal there on the left to run all the corresponding components? It looks like there's a ground.
Okay, here's another ground, okay? He's going to identify these as ground leads. Let's listen to what he says.
Bar over here. It says PE on it, for protective earth, I guess.
Okay, he's identifying and he's claiming that's protective earth. The interesting part is you guys saw that wiring going through the system for the drives. There's 4 drives, there's 3 ground leads in the entire system. Guys, does that make logical sense? All these cables coming out, you think these are shielded? I mean, I say this openly and I say it facetiously because I've seen this done time and time again, and then people get burned. And this is ridiculous. I mean, you look at this and you can see this is totally, totally wrong.
And they go to, one comes out of the VFD, and I can't remember where the other ones go at the moment. But, yeah. And then I'm wondering if this thing here in the front is a transformer. Here's what it says on it. 0 to 1, 220 volt. And then I guess the other side over here for these outputs, all the number 12s maybe, they output 70 volts, I guess, to the corresponding things that require 70 volts. But anyways, all that stuff should be already done and hooked up properly because the manufacturer sent me a video of the machine working, so I do know that it...
Okay, so I'm confused, just probably like you are. He was sent the video of the machine working. I don't know how they would send him a video of the machine working, or for that matter, why they would send a video of the machine working when we see a porthole here that is bare open. Are we to believe, and I'm just asking this logically, are we to believe that they had a power cable that they hooked to this system, and for a short amount of time they showed the robot actually running, and then after they made the video, they removed it? Let me ask you how logical that is, guys. Or Does this make more sense? They actually had a similar system that they actually had set up. They hooked that controller to it that was already pre-wired, maybe for demo videos, and they actually ran the system for a short duration to show, hey, client, this works, and then they shipped him this. You tell me what makes more logical sense, guys. I'm not telling you this, once again, to raise red flags on every company that's out there, but I'm telling you this because I've been around the block. You know, in the amount of time I've dealt with this online, I've seen these horror stories, and I'm telling you right now, certain things don't make logical sense. A company would not remove a power plug, a port no less, and leave it bare unless they never installed it to begin with. And I'm just looking at it logically. Unless this door was open and they decided to hook terminals up direct, I don't know how they would have done that. The other question is, if they did that and they showed him actually running, did they show him inside the chassis? I don't know. I don't know. You know, I mean, logically speaking, if they did, you would know how to hook it up, right? So, again, I'm just looking at this in every angle, no different than you would as an end user, actually purchasing it, getting it home like he did, and now you're trying to figure this out. And the unfortunate side is I have my experience, and I still don't feel confident with this unit. I don't. I'm seeing a lot of stuff here. We see all this debris in here. This is a brand new system. I don't know what he paid for this, but I don't know why there's debris in there. In terms of it being new, it makes no sense, other than the fact we have missing ports. So that tells us something. I mean, they put a fan filter here, but they left this open? It's kind of comical. Let's play on.
Works. Now the question is, if you got two hot wires from 220, how am I supposed to plug two hot wires of 110 into that first terminal? Is that something that's possible or not? Okay. Is there a way to take split phase and put it back into a single wire that has 220 to go into?
Okay, so once again, we're back to the same dilemma. The end user is looking for a solution. But what he's not identifying is he's asking a third party for advice on a system they did not build. Okay? I want you to think about that, because that, once again, puts a very, very, very precarious position for the person that's third party he's asking. Okay? So whether some people go, Vin, you're a jerk, you won't help them, and it's like, no, I'm not going to help them because I can't put myself at risk. I can't do that. Okay, it's no different than, you know, GM going to Ford and asking about parts in their car. I mean, it would make no sense. And that's exactly where you're at. They're not going to take liability, and that's exactly what I'm pointing out. Because again, as we go into this detail, you'll see as he goes through, he's asking logical questions. But that's why that I'm 99.9% sure that's why that electrician pulled back. It's either because he didn't understand what he was hooking up, which is usually the case. If he's not an industrial guy, he hasn't been around this kind of equipment, most of the time they won't touch something they don't know, the smart ones. Other ones will say, hey, you know what, you're missing a sticker, it's an easy out for them. But I'm telling you right now, 99.9% of the time, it's going to be, look, I don't want to be liable. It's just easier for me to say no than to be liable.
That, or how is it possible to hook this thing up? When I contacted the manufacturer again, trying to get some answers out of them, I asked her, I said, am I supposed to put 210 volt lines into the first terminal down there? And she said, yes, two 110 volt lines are to be connected to L1 and N, respectively, is what she said. I really want to get this thing hooked up, but yeah, any help would be.
So I'm kind of confused. Okay, and this is, you guys heard it like I did. He contacted the manufacturer. They told him how to hook this up. He's not hooking it up himself. What does that tell you guys? I mean, you guys are all watching this. Everyone out there is intelligent and they're listening to this. If he himself is being told by the manufacturer to hook it up and it isn't hooking it up because he's not comfortable, I certainly wouldn't be comfortable. Meaning, why would I give direction as a third party when you're telling me you've received direction from the manufacturer of how to hook it up and you're still uncomfortable? That tells me something. and it tells most of you something. So that's why, again, like I said, these videos are priceless. If you watch this and you're just getting involved in manufacturing as far as robotics side of it, this is super imperative to pay attention to, because again, I'm not making anything up. We're watching this as we go through. Let's hit play.
Appreciate it, man. Like, even if you could just, if you could make any kind of sense of this, if this makes sense to you or not. I just don't understand how two hot lines go into the one screw on the left there.
And again, we're breaking down, he's worried about the power connection. She already explained how to hook it up, guys. But the question is, he's not confident to do the work. So again, we're going to hit play and we'll continue to watch.
Is that something that's even possible? Or is that something that's going to fry the system? Is it going to not be reliable over time? Is it going to overheat and damage something in the future?
Listen to the questions he's asking a third party. Once again, would you take liability?
Is it going to be instant death for the cabinet? Any help would be very much appreciated. You've always been very helpful to me, so...
Always recognize what you're asking.
I'm hoping that you have some good news for me, because as soon as I can get this going and make a few bucks off of it, then I would like to finish the other machine that I started. And
once again, gaping hole from a port missing.
I'm definitely going to require some parts from you. But yeah, there's no documentation for this machine. I don't know if there's any kind. I just want to know if anybody screwed up at the factory. Because the electrician I was talking with said that basically it would make sense if it had L1 and L2 down there in the cabinet, but since it only says L.
Once again, here's those ports that are missing, and you can hear what he's explaining about the electrician talking about L1, L2, and that really defines what that electrician's knowledge is, because again, he had already identified previously in the video, we both heard him, that he spoke to the factory, they identified how to connect everything. He brought up he needed 2 lines of power, yet he didn't do it. I don't know why he didn't bring that up to the electrician, or did he? I don't know. But as we hear this, and the electrician is identifying out of his own words, hey, it would have been easier if there was L1, L2, that's because that's what he recognizes as for power, guys. That's what that's telling you. This is where his knowledge is. Hey, I know L1 and L2. I don't know what this is. So what is that telling you? He's stepping back. He's letting you know, hey, you know what? This is above my pay grade. Okay? And when you start messing with this equipment, that's what you figure out if you don't know what you're purchasing. And I'm telling you guys, many of you will find as you go deeper down the rabbit hole, looking at this equipment, they look awesome. I mean, this table looks amazing. I don't know what he paid for it. As far as the chassis itself, you can see it's got everything labeled and whatnot. It looks like it's well made, but we don't know. We really have no idea. We do see this, and that's scary. We see how everything is wired inside there, and that's scary. So I don't know what to make of it. But again, you're asking a third party to take liability. Whether or not you intend to, that's irrelevant. That's what you're asking me. Okay? You're saying, hey, this isn't something you built, but I know you're knowledgeable. I know what you do for a living, and I'd like to have your assessment. I will not give it. So I'm just letting you know, not for any dollar amount. It is what it is. Looking at this, you guys should see why.
1 and N, do they consider they're neutral? Is that a hot wire? Like, it's very confusing to me, especially since I don't know much about this stuff. But yeah, if you could get any information to me, that would be extremely amazing of you. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon. Also, Vince, I forgot to mention that I don't know if it matters where these wires go to you, but the black wire there from L1, we follow it up, it actually goes right into this unit here, this Schneider.
Yeah, once again, when we start tracing wires, guys, and you can see the crimp connectors here, I'm not going to sit here and forensically trace every wire in the system, and the main reason that is that would essentially take me all the time to dissect it in terms of rebuilding it, and that's exactly what he's doing. And Now then, we are getting into a time investment. What do you think that would cost? What do you think that would cost me in the time investment? And what do you think it would cost you? How logical would that be? Because what you end up asking then is basically to rebuild a system that I didn't engineer at all, and then we have to make corrections on top of that. And most of the time when guys message me that, then I say to them, hey, you know what? It's actually cheaper to start over than it is to do that. And now you know why. Because if you want to go through and do, look at this, we have 2 leads right here. Here we go. 2 leads right here going to a crimp connector. Do you really think that they used a tandem crimp, or did they use a single crimp? Looking at the 2 leads coming in here and the bulging crimp right here, I would say no, it looks exactly the same as this one right here. Okay? Is that best practice? No, it's not best practice. And this is a power lead. He's saying this is actually coming in, and again, this is labeled Schneider Electric. If that's actually genuine, we don't know. I mean, who knows what is and isn't. He's got his breakers over here. I mean, we really don't know what's going on. I'm just telling you guys, proceed with caution. It's always better to ask first and buy later. You can always come back and buy. I can't tell you how many guys ask me that. They'll say, you know, I don't have the money right now. I've seen your videos. I've understood it. I'm thankful you're doing them. You're putting the information out there. And you can see this for yourself. I have no idea what this past client spent on this system, but I can tell you right now, it would have been better to wait. No matter what he paid or no matter what he saved, it still would have been better to wait.
Whatever. I don't know if this thing is like some kind of breaker. I don't know if these are. I don't know if this is a relay and these are breakers.
There's that tandem, crimp right there.
Inside of them. But yeah, the black live wire goes back right into here on this unit.
Now, guys, this is very common, and I'm not poking fun at anybody, but there is no way for anybody, not me or anybody else in this genre, to go and say, hey, you know what, I know what that is. Most of them are going to be honest with you and say, no, I have no idea where that wire goes. Okay, you're tracing it there. I'm over here. I'm in the US, you're in Canada. I don't have the system in front of me. It's no different. I've used this analogy 100 times. It's like asking a mechanic to analyze a car without it in front of him. No mechanic is going to do that. I will not do that with the system. Okay, and I cannot take anybody's word for what is connected to what if they are not familiar with what they're actually working on. Think about that. It doesn't make sense. So again, this, like I said, there's a lot to learn here. Let's keep going.
And then it has another one that's inside the same terminal. The red wire ends up traveling down here and ends up in one of these stop switches, and the Newton.
Let's come back over here.
Ends up in one of these.
Here's his E-stops, or again, I don't know what this all is, but you can see how everything is labeled. We see a daisy chain right here, over. Okay, we could see 2 leads coming in here, over. All crimp, guys. All crimp connectors. You better hope every one of these crimps are done correctly. If there's not a loose wire, if there's nothing else, but if you look at the rest of the quality of the box, are we to believe there's not one crimp that's done incorrectly? How many would bet that? How many would bet that there's not one crimp done incorrectly in this entire system? I hope somebody leaves a comment on that, because I'll tell you what, just knowing what I know and seeing this, I can tell you right now, I would almost bet that at least one crimp is not right. Easily one crimp.
3 has the neutral wire going into it from down below we were looking at, and then it also has a second wire in the same terminal. If you can see that.
See if I come back here. I want to just see something. What is this, guys? I don't even know what that is. I hope that's not a wire that's loose.
Has a second wire in the same terminal. If you can see that, and it runs up and across and somewhere up into these switches as well. But shoot, yeah, I can't remember where these ones go up to.
So it's interesting also to point out We've got the transformer on the bottom of the case. You've got a switching power supply right here. And then you also have the VFD, which I've already mentioned, disperses a huge amount of EMI. This chassis, with the amount of EMI inside of it, acting as a Faraday cage when that enclosure is closed because it is metal, and then on top of that, using a USB cord, which I'm assuming controls this breakout board, guys, I cannot at all believe that this system would be stable. I can't. Not with any, I mean, we see 3 ground leads, no shielded cable. That's a big gamble.
Everything else should be fine. It's just trying to get power in.
And again, I'm not poking any fun. This is all due respect. When he said everything else I should be fine, that couldn't be more incorrect, guys. There's a lot of problems here. Okay, we see it. We don't know what will happen when this system turns on. We have no idea of the stability, and I'm telling you right now, odds are it will not be stable. You could see all the spaghetti wiring. None of this is shielded. It's all carrying power. It's all carrying signals. We don't know what goes to what. We saw our power distribution up there. You've got all kinds of things going on here. And if you don't ask questions when you purchase from overseas, you don't ask specific details, hire a third party then and have them work with the manufacturer to get it done right. I've done that many times. I offer consultations for that. That is totally different due to the fact if you're going to buy something like this and you're hoping to get it on U.S. soil and it just turn on, I'm telling you now, the odds of that, I think maybe I've seen 3 systems that way, configured that way. But those 3 end users were very familiar with ordering overseas. This is a tragedy. And why I say that is this end user has no idea what's actually in store for him in terms of work, as far as redoing everything to do it properly. Will it turn on? Will it be stable? I have no idea. I'm being totally honest. I have no idea. And once again, asking me to take third-party liability, I will not do that. So again, I hope that this video has been helpful. I hope that everyone realizes this was not done to make fun of anybody. This was done in full respect, and I'm fully disclosing this video because I know at least one of you will look at this and think twice, hopefully, because we're talking thousands now. Everything with robotics is thousands. Okay, there is no $100 mistake most of the time. It's all thousands. What you're looking at here with a controller rebuild for this system, I'm telling you now, is multitudes of thousands. Okay, and whether or not he does it himself, whether or not he buys components, you heard him say, well, you know, later on if I need something for another system, I hear that all the time too. If I'm going to buy something for my other system, I'll come back to you for parts. Guys, look, the bottom line is this. Whoever you buy from someone that is going to stand by what they sell. I didn't get to where I did with all my feedback and everything else I've worked so hard to achieve with the channel and everything else to BS anybody. I tell everybody the same thing. If you get me on the phone, I'm going to tell you the same thing. If I'm honest with you from the get-go, then you have that honesty to work with in the future. If I lie to you once and I burden you and I take you for your money or take advantage of the fact that you may not have the knowledge I do, then I'll never deal with you again. Odds are you'll find out. But that's how I retain my clients. I believe in full disclosure, full honesty. How do we know that? Go online and see how many people are breaking down these videos. They exist everywhere. We see them done everywhere. Think about it. It just doesn't make sense. What we're seeing here makes no sense. And that's why I'm telling you, I hope you take your time and really look at this and really think before you leap. Because once they get your money, it's very difficult to get back, in the sense that it will happen in a timely fashion. It's not that you won't get it back, but odds are it's going to take some time. And if you do a wire transfer, forget it. It's not happening. So if you're on the fence about purchasing a system overseas and you're uncertain, schedule a consultation. Yes, it will cost you some money, but I guarantee you it's going to cost you a hell of a lot less than what it's going to cost this guy to fix this system. I've seen it time and time again. This is scary. Okay? He's scared himself. You can tell in his voice he's scared. He's uncertain. So again, I hope that this video has been helpful. If you guys have questions, require quotes, consultations, whatever it may be, contact me direct at storm2313@gmail.com. You can also message me through my eBay store at eDealers Direct. Again, guys, please be careful. I thank you all for your support. Take care.